A lot of people kind of just go through life thinking that they're not really good at anything or that they just don't have any talents that will advance humanity or, just their own financial situation or whatever the case might be. And that really could be anything farther from the truth, to be honest with you. So let's talk about talents and how exactly we can use our talents themselves. So the number one thing that people always say is that they don't have any talents. They're not really good at anything. Well, it's kind of a myth because nobody really is good at anything that they do, especially at an advanced level at the first point, right? Like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, whoever these people might be who are at the top 1% of basketball players, they're the cream of the crop. They were not always good at basketball. They got good at their craft because they worked on it every single day. And now, while you can make the argument that they did have a natural knack for basketball or the skill set that they tried to pursue, yeah, that's completely plausible, but they are the exception to that rule. They are not the rules themselves. So the general rule is always that, hey, you need to make sure that you're actually cultivating and working on and honing in your craft and your talents in the first place. Nobody just becomes great at calculus without putting in a lot of work. And again, like I mentioned before, there are exceptions to that rule, but the general rule is always that you need to make sure that you're actually honing into your craft in the first place. And this is where a lot of people get tested. This is where a lot of people that just kind of give up and they say, well, I'm not really talented at anything, so I'm just not really going to try and pursue this thing that I'm really passionate about. So that's the first hurdle that you have to go through, is to actually figure out what you're first good at. And then on top of that, the second hurdle is always to make sure that you're actually putting in the work to become better at that particular thing that you actually want to pursue. Now, the second part of this, especially of what I faced throughout my life, is just thinking that my talents are just completely useless. They are not going to benefit humanity in any type of way, or they're just not going to benefit myself in my financial situation or just, my friends as well. And that could really just be further from the truth, because I truly do believe now that I can benefit a lot of people from the talents that I actually have. Maybe it's just making YouTube videos like this, and maybe just speaking to a camera. I do fundamentally believe that I can be a positive influence and an inspiration to anybody that I actually meet. I mean, not everybody has this talent of speaking to a camera, which obviously I didn't have in the first place. I don't have a natural knack of just talking to this camera, but this is something that I've done and cultivated within myself from just making hundreds of videos, which you could actually watch back and go to my channel and obviously hit that subscribe button as well while you're there and just watch, and you can see the progression that I've made in the confidence that I have and the confidence that I actually exude while talking to the camera and just actually looking at the camera and just not looking away and everywhere. And another thing that I have personally always struggled with is just thinking that I wish I had somebody else's talents, when in reality, my talents are the only things that I actually need. And the same goes for you as well. See, you might think that you don't have the most financially incentive talent or the most socially appealing talent, or the talent that's going to get you all the girls, like playing guitar and whatnot. But that doesn't necessarily mean that your talents are completely useless. You're just in the wrong environment to actually apply those talents in the first place. So first, you need to make sure that you're honing those talents and then going into the right environments on where you can actually pursue those talents and make money off of them, or do really whatever it is that you want to in this world as well. Some people are just very good at fixing logistical problems. Some people are just very good at physical labor, and they know the ins and outs of getting charity to people, or buying things and selling them online for a higher price, whatever the case might be. These are all talents that you can hone and you could benefit from, and you could benefit society from as well. And you need to accept that as well. You can't just go through life thinking that, oh man, the talents that you have, the talents that you possess, and the talents that you have been gifted with, they're just complete doo-doo. You can't do that with yourself. You have to accept that the talents that you have actually mean something to you and to somebody else as well. And you can be a positive inspiration for whatever it is that you actually want to do. If you like reading, then read. If you like speaking, then speak. If you like writing, then write. Write out tweets, write out whatever. You don't necessarily need to write like Plato or Marcus Aurelius to become this great writer. You don't need to compare your talent level to the very top 1% of history makers. in this world. Like, you could just still be a good writer and you could be better than 10% of the population, and that is completely okay as long as you keep on working on your craft. And look, that one tweet that you sent out because you were really inspired in that moment can possibly inspire somebody else. It can give them the hope that they were actually looking for as well. Isn't that enough? And I understand that you might never hear thanks for it. You might never gain an audience for it. You might never garner the attention of a New York Times bestseller. But you've actually made a positive impact in the world. And sometimes that really is all the difference in somebody's life, because subconsciously they're always going to carry that tweet that you tweeted out, and that gave them hope, that one more day of living that they actually are doing because of you. I think that that's amazing. And that's how you should use your talents. You shouldn't just go crawl in a hole and just think that you're talentless, or just because you're not good at something doesn't mean that you're not good at everything. You are good at something. You just need to figure out what it is first, and then you need to get into the right environment to actually hone that craft and actually be appreciative of that talent and have other people appreciate you for that talent as well. And then after you've done all this work and figuring it out, you're eventually going to be able to benefit society. Sometimes, for some people, it takes days. For some people, it takes weeks. For some people, it takes months. For some people, this process takes entire years. But that does not mean that you should not start today. You should always start today. You can definitely benefit the world a lot with your talent. So don't think that you're less than somebody else just because you do not have the same level of fame, the same level of fortune, because somebody else is doing something else that you really wish you were good at. We're all gifted in different ways, and you should always remember that and keep on living and keep on honing in your craft, man. This was episode 131 of the Daily Lessons podcast. If you enjoyed this episode at all, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, because I make videos like this all the time. I hope you enjoyed, and tell a friend about this video. Maybe this is exactly the sign that they were looking for. All right, this is Yusha signing out. Bye, guys.